Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 104 of the High Sensitivity Gaming Podcast. Thank you for listening. And if it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co host.
Name is still Craig. We haven't changed it yet.
And as much as there isn't for games this week, because let's be honest, really nothing came out,
hmm
we did get some pretty big news for a couple things.
Yep.
And with that, we'll get into as always, first the news. First off, I guess we might as well go ahead and just get right off to the big stuff. E3 is canceled. There is no digital or physical event this year. And particularly, it says it's because of COVID, which
Right.
I personally don't buy
No.
at all.
No,
So,
because we're back to not 100% normal, but like we're back to in-person things, right?
yeah.
I
So like if you had to think of why
yeah.
they did it, why would you think?
I think the obvious answer is it's been on a downward decline for a while, and I think this was just kind of them throwing in the towel. I personally think we haven't really needed one for the past couple of years as much as you and I would both like to be able to go to one. I think the time has sailed.
Sorry. All right. So, um, yeah, like for me personally with E3, I think that I feel like maybe they just don't have like people are like going, no, we don't want to pay for the expensive theater to
Yep.
showcase our games when they can just hold digital events. Like, yeah, last year we actually got something, but this year I just feel like we're not going to get anything at all. Like, we aren't going to get anything at all because people are like, no, we don't feel like doing this. Like,
Yep.
we can just record what we want at home and do it from there or do their own thing. You know, we've seen PlayStation do that. We've seen Xbox do it before, and there still is like the Summer Game Fest that Jeff Keighley kind of hosts around, and I think we'll see games then.
Yep.
So I just think it's probably lack of interest from places because not only do you need to rent stage room, like it's usually held in Staple or I guess Crypto Arena is now what it's called.
Yeah. Crypto arena.
So if that's the case, like you're renting like space, you're renting like the whole demo unit props, like there can be so much money saved just by doing something away from E3 and doing it just on your own or doing the Summer Games Fest thing, which if I end up doing the same thing, like end up making props of events and doing that kind of thing, then you're spending maybe the same amount of money. I don't know. It's kind of all up in the air with that. But me personally, I'm going to miss E3. What do you think? How do
Yeah.
you
I
feel?
mean, like you said, I think when COVID hit, that's when a lot of the game companies realized that they didn't need E3 at all. And they're kind of like, well, why are we paying for it? Like you said, I don't think like we're still going to get these big conference things from Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony, but I just don't know that they're all going to be grouped together in 1 or 2 days, which was kind of fun, right? Going like back to back to back. That's what made it so much fun. I did notice that Jeff Keighley didn't come out and say anything, but somebody had said something on Twitter about it, and he put like a little winky face, like he might have something planned to kind of bring everybody together. Maybe he takes over and it becomes something new, kind of like E3.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, past couple of years have shown you don't need to pay. I don't even know how much they pay, millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to this.
Probably.
When you can just make a video in your own office for, couple thousand and just release it into the internet and get the same amount of views, if not more. So yeah, it's sad that I never got to go to one. I always wanted to. That was like one of my goals in life. But maybe Jeff Keighley comes out with something else and we can get to that.
Yeah, and I was actually going to mention that as well. Like it used to be when we were younger and like if you were a gamer, like the dream was to go to E3
Yep.
to get to experience things before other people do with like demos technology wise. And that was always something that, I as well aspired to go to one day. But times have changed now to the point where we probably won't get that.
Yeah.
We would be lucky to get invited to a Summer Games Fest at this point, wherever the heck that's held.
Yep.
But and that's what I think I'm going to miss the most about it is the fact that E3, yes, it was kind of this huge showbiz thing, and I get that. Um, but I kind of always miss the idea of, one day being able to go there and being able to experience demos for games that we hadn't heard it or hadn't seen.
Yep.
Um, it was kind of like it was your dream if you were a hardcore gamer. Like if you were a hardcore gamer, you wanted to be like, yeah, I want to be that person that says, "Oh, I played like the build for Ocarina of Time
Yep.
before it was announced or before anybody else got to play it." Like that's the kind of cool stuff I think we all wanted to have, but now with digital age and everything like that, it's slowly being phased out. Like we nowadays, you have to just get lucky to get invited to some sort of beta test, and
Right.
and go from there.
Yeah, it is kind of a bummer. I think the appeal when we were growing up was that it was for the industry only, right? Like
Yeah,
you had to be working for like a magazine or a website. Whereas the past couple of years, you could just buy a ticket to go to E3, which is cool that normal people could go, but kind of lost its luster a little bit. But I mean, I guess you still have technically PAX you can go to,
yeah.
East and West. So that's kind of the same thing on a smaller scale. But yeah, it does seem like a little bit more of the gaming world that I knew growing up has died, kind of like the magazines. Now E3. It's just kind of sad, but I guess you have to evolve and move on.
Yeah, as humans, humans don't like change, especially when it's been cemented for so long. So now it just sucks that we have to get used to this change as well, and most likely, probably the death of E3. But
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
we have to
Um,
see how it all goes.
I want to tap into more sad news for everybody
Sad.
else except me because I'm not sad about it. But I put it on Instagram earlier this week. Zelda is not coming out this year. I'm not surprised. They're saying 2023. Are you surprised? And does that mean it'll be running on the new Switch?
Particularly, that's actually what I have in my notes. Is that
Yeah.
one? I'm not one. I don't think really anybody could be surprised. Like we still don't even have a title name.
Yep.
Like this game is, and especially with crunch wise, I'm pretty sure they don't want to have issues where stories come out about crunch wise and Zelda and that kind of thing with this. So me personally, I do think they're setting themselves up for the next like Switch iteration. And I was listening to the Game Informer podcast today as well about how, like, think about all the 3DS generations we got. It was kind of the next iteration, the next iteration, the next iteration. I think now it's time for them to put out some new iteration of this and get to have your 4K 60 frames a second Zelda. That's what I can hope for at least.
Yeah.
But uh it's still yet to be seen. They did like, but even before this, rumors were kind of mentioning how they've Nintendo's planned for a Switch next gen, but it wasn't coming out last holiday season. Maybe it comes out this holiday season or in the spring. So
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I hope so. I mean, mine's still chugging along and it's the first iteration of the Switch. So I would be inclined to maybe consider upgrading. Not for Breath of the Wild, because I know that game's not for me, but who knows? You know what I mean? I think I even said last week, like, oh, I guess we'll find out at E3, but I can't even say that anymore. So maybe we'll find out in their Nintendo Direct, but I don't know. Maybe they don't even mention it now because they just put out a video that was like, hey, sorry, not coming out this year.
I don't know. I feel like we should have maybe a title announcement in the next Nintendo Direct. But the one thing they did do was drop like a little bit of something
Hmm.
where Link's Master Sword looks like it's been, I don't know, like eroded or cursed by something.
Yeah.
So it looks like that'll probably be your journey for the first half of the game, is going and restoring the Master Sword, which usually is kind of the whole thing that you do. Find the Master Sword, kill the evil boss. That's how it's done. So
Yep. True.
if you had to guess what it's called, would you call, if you had to guess what it was called?
What, the Zelda game?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they go with such random titles. It's hard to. I mean, part of me thinks they would just call it Breath of the Wild too, because I think that's funny. Um, I don't know. They're all over the place. Legend of Zelda. Link needs a new sword.
Okay, I like that one.
Yeah.
That'll probably be it.
Yep.
I was thinking Ganon's Resurrection
Ooh,
or
that's
something
good.
like.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded pretty good, but
Revenge of Ganon.
yeah, Revenge
Okay.
of the Ganon.
Uh, Ganon has a bone to pick.
Ganon's not dead.
Yeah. Ganon's really upset and
Yeah.
going to get you too.
Or it's just gonna turn everything around and now you get to play as Ganon instead.
Mm.
And you get to kill Link and be the evil person for once.
Legend of Zelda. See how the other side works.
Yeah, right. See what
Something
the
like that.
yeah. See what the Triforce of Power does for you. Just level buildings and stuff. All right, next up on my end is we finally get the answer to PlayStation's subscription service type.
That's me rubbing my
Uh,
hands.
yeah, subscription service type thing. I think it said it was releasing in May or June, but
June.
there are three different price tiers for it.
Yeah.
Not much has changed from what we can see. There is the basics sort of bundle, and that was the same amount of money, about $60 a year. And that
Yeah.
kind of gets
$10 a
you
month.
that kind of gets
Yep.
you everything that you're looking for. No, it's 60 for a year, so
Is
I
it?
don't think it would be $10 a month.
I gotta look that up because I know they had like the monthly if you pay by month, but it's cheaper if you pay
By year.
by year. I'll look it up. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll find it.
We then so I won't mention any of the pricing tiers until Craig brings them up. Next one is the PlayStation Plus X premium, PSP, and it looks like it is a mixture of both PlayStation Now and PlayStation Plus, which gets you, they were saying, about 400 titles
Right.
from the PS4 and the PS5 catalog. What titles those are yet to be seen, but 400's a decent amount of games.
How many are on PlayStation now right now? Not that many, right?
No, not
Yeah.
that many.
Okay.
But the one thing is throughout these tiers, it's not like you get to download the game, you're still streaming it,
Right.
which I'm mixed about. I really wish it was something we could download. Like I wish it worked more like Game Pass, but it doesn't. That's just not the case. So maybe they change that once they see the engagement for it. And then the last one is PlayStation Plus Premier, or
Premium?
X or Premium,
Yep.
and that one you get all of the benefits of the last three, and now access to PS3 games
And
as
PS2
well,
and
and
PlayStation 1.
PS2 and PlayStation One, and I think I saw
PSP.
like yeah, I think I saw like exclusive like title tryouts and that kind of thing, like the 1 hour tryout thing that
Yep.
Sony sometimes lets you do.
And EA does now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that game or that last one is particularly $18 a month. A little
Right.
bit more expensive than Game Pass. But I don't feel like Sony came out in this presser and said like this was our answer to Game Pass. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be. So
Yeah.
it's just meant to be something that PlayStation has, because I had the same problem this holiday season where my mother got me a PlayStation Now subscription, not a PlayStation Plus. I told her to keep it because I always wanted to try PlayStation Plus, and it's not a bad system by any means.
Mhm.
I used it to play old games like Sly Cooper, and some other PS3 titles. But I think this will help everybody with the kind of advertising. Okay, like this is what I need you to get. Like, mom, like get me this, or you know, significant other, get me this subscription for that. And then that way, like regular people might actually know not to get the PlayStation Now thing instead of the PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it at all, but I don't know what your thoughts are.
So the prices are PlayStation Plus Essential, which is really what it is now. $9.99 a month, $24.99 for 3 months, $59.99 for the year.
Okay.
PlayStation Plus Extra,
Oh, it's
$15 a
extra.
month. Yeah, $15 a month, $40 for 3 months, $100 for the year. PlayStation Plus Premium, $18 a month, $50 for 3 months, $120 for the year.
Okay.
Um, my thoughts on it are, one, I have a problem with the fact that you can't download the games.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a big deal to me. I'm not a big fan of the streaming thing, but it seems like that's the way they want to go on all this. Two, there's no mention whatsoever of day one game stuff, right? From
Yeah.
first party, nothing. So I'm assuming they're not doing that. Uh, but I do like the idea of being able to play PS1, PS2, PS3 games on the premium. I think that's good. We mentioned that last week, right? Like we wanted that.
Yeah, if
Um,
if anything, Sony had the catalog to do
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah.
Like so that's the one thing that they definitely had better going for them that Xbox kind of didn't have. But I don't think PlayStation would ever do the like day one type thing, especially for their first party stuff. Maybe
Right.
we hear about it for third party games, but I don't think their first party stuff they will ever allow like ever allow that to happen with their first party stuff.
Yeah. The main thing I have against this is obviously I think the premium one is the way to go, right? Because you
Hmm.
get access to all those old games, which is huge. But you're coming in at a price that's more than Game Pass by a couple bucks a month. That's strike one, if you will. Uh, strike two, Microsoft is giving you all their first party games day one to
Hmm.
download for free, not stream, download. Um, the like trials, like I said, like that's EA does that now, and that's included with your Game Pass. So like all the sports games, you get those 10-hour trials. You can get a 10-hour trial of Grid Legends right now too, which is cool. Um, I don't know. Like one, we both said it should be the same price, right? As Game Pass.
Yeah, that's what we were looking to do. It seems
Yep.
like they've gone in between. Is how
Yep.
they
Yeah.
that's how they
Um,
managed to get away from it.
and I think the three tiers thing is going to be super confusing for parents to figure out to buy for their children. Um, I like the idea. I just don't think it's executed well. I don't think it's going to do well.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, like the main thing is that Xbox has always been kind of known for putting out like, okay, here are different titles. Like now
Mhm.
the Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is, on
Right.
Game Pass. So with PlayStation, they mentioned like there's 400 games on there, or I guess maybe ready to release at launch. Are
Right.
there plans to release other things? Like
Right.
that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to figure out is whether or not like it's going to be one of those things where they're adding more to it, or if it's just you get to pick the collection of games and get you play them from there.
Right. I know me personally, what I'm going to do is that premium, the high tier one, I'm going to do the 3 month
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes. Like, do they keep adding to it? What exactly are these PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games that are going on there and PSP? Because, like, I'd play some of those. Um, but by the end of the 3 months, I think we'll be able to tell very quickly, like, did I see and play everything I wanted to in those 3 months and now I'm good? Or is there any reason for me to keep this for a year?
Yeah. I'm gonna be back because she's barking.
Okay.
So, all right,
All
back
good.
from our brief interlude for taking out a dog, intermission for that
Intermission.
matter. But yeah, we
Um, go ahead.
it's not what I expected PlayStation Plus to be, but is it a start? Oh, we'll take it. I'll take it, I guess. That's pretty much how I'll roll with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too hopeful about it, but I am willing to give it a shot. I was really hoping for them to put first party on there day one, but like you said, I don't think Sony's ever gonna be okay with that.
Exactly. So,
But I am out of
okay,
news. You
fair
took all
enough.
mine.
Uh, for me, we also have that Activision settles the sexual harassment
Mhm.
lawsuits for $16.8 million. Imagine settling for that much when you just got bought for about 70 billion. So, ac-
Right. Little
exactly
drop
at
in the
this
bucket.
point, there, I imagine they're just okay. Everything's been paid off. Get all the deals and everything settled with. Uh, there's probably still more to come out for this, but to see that there's at least some restitution for these people who have been affected by it is a good sign, at least.
Yeah.
We then have Apple Plus TV getting slew of more subscriptions, with Coda winning Best Picture at the Oscars. This was to be expected. I'll admit I'm interested in it as well. I just haven't decided to sub to it yet. Pretty much for me, I only would use Apple TV to watch Ted Lasso. Uh, I know there
Yeah.
are other good programs on there. Like, don't get me wrong, but
Mhm.
That's really the only one that I'm interested in.
That's fair.
And then let's see here. Do I have anything else? No, that's it. Games this week,
Sweet.
which well, what did we play?
uh, I am almost done with
Okay.
Ghostwire Tokyo. Pretty close. And then I did have a little bit of fun with the April Fools
Yeah.
yesterday on Apex. And I have to bring up the fact that we have to talk about
Yeah,
Fortnite.
I did. That's right. I did see you playing that the other day.
I
For me,
was.
it has been Tiny Tina's Wonderland, Elden Ring occasionally, and some more Warhammer 3. Total War Warhammer 3.
Okay.
Um
Okay.
Not much is new really on any of those aspects if I'm being honest. Like Tiny Tina, the humor is now starting to wear a little bit. Uh
Uh
so
oh.
I guess we'll see. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the D&D stuff and I do like this game, but I did think it was going to be different from other Borderlands, but it really is just the same loot, find guns, do this. And I don't know what it is, but I really wish the inventory was better or the inventory management was a lot better here. Like I find myself
Yeah, it doesn't look like they
it's not that
changed it, right?
it's they didn't really change it at all, but for me what most like sucks is it seems like to get out of like picking a talisman or a weapon or a spell, I need to press B, go over to that thing, then press A, and then get it, and then equip it, and then go back. Like my feeling is once I press A and select something, I should be free to move around and get to the next gun or get
Mm-hmm.
to the next thing I want to change. But it just feels like I'm playing like I'll be honest, like it feels like I'm just paying too much time in the menus right now for Tiny Tina Wonderland instead of actually like playing the game. So,
Yeah.
there are a couple knocks to it now that I'm starting to get into it more, but there's definitely some stuff that they should carry from this into the new ones. Like for example, I really like the fact that there's an overworld now instead of just driving from point A to point B. Like those points ended up
Yep.
being kind of useless and not really a fun way to interact with the world. Where this is a lot easier. It's a lot more. I guess it's just not as a bore as much as jumping on
Yeah.
your speeder bike type thing and going to the next objective.
Or fast traveling.
Yeah, and like fast traveling still is a thing if you want to get from like world
Yeah.
part to world part, and that'll always be there. That thing does work nicely for it, but it's just a matter of there's finally no forced out of the mission, get on a bike and go to this place and then go to this place and then go to this place. I can fast travel if I want to, or the overworld
Right.
isn't terrible at all to navigate through. So I really hope that they decide to take some of the ideas from here and use it toward whatever next Borderlands or next game type they use to inspire the next one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Since I had both Tiny Tina and Ghostwire, I put Tiny Tina to the side because Ghostwire was more of an
Yeah,
original game to
yeah,
play. Whereas the amount of time that I spent with Tiny Tina last week, I was like, all right, I know what I'm getting into. But like an hour into that game, I had already decided that like there's so many guns that drop. That's the same with any Borderlands game that I would walk up to it, and if it wasn't better, I used to just pick everything
yeah,
up and then sell it. I'm not even doing that anymore. I'm just like, is this gun worse? Okay, I'm just going to leave it on the ground because selling things is
yeah,
also a chore. You either go through and hit every single one, or you go through and mark each one as junk and sell it that way. But it's just those menus are time consuming. That I've never had an issue with not having enough money in a Borderlands
oh yeah,
game
ever.
ever. Like you get so much money, you don't need to sell the gun. So yeah, I mean, there's some good things in there. It does seem like it's a lot of the same that we've seen. So, like, once I finish Ghostwire, I'll go back and try it again, but I don't know if I'm going to finish it. Are you going to finish it?
I think I might, but it just might take me some time.
Okay. Okay. I mean, that's fair. We'll see. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. We have Lego Star
Yes, we
Wars
do. Yep.
Tuesday, right? Isn't there something
There's
Friday
something
too?
else on Tuesday, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't remember, so I'm gonna look it up. I
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's
good.
just a Switch port of a certain game. But go.
Okay. I don't know why I was thinking there was something else this week on like a Friday. No, I guess not. I
Yeah,
don't see
I
anything.
guess it'll all be figured out.
Hmm.
We'll figure it out here in a moment. But what's the what have you been playing? What have you been really going through?
So I'm almost done with
Yeah,
Ghostwire Tokyo. I will say that that game is very very good. Go
it's
ahead,
the
so you
show.
don't forget
It's the
again what's
show
coming out.
22. It's the show,
Oh
but that's on Game
yeah,
Pass. So who needs to buy it?
it is. I'll at least give that a shot. I
As
probably
will
won't
I.
play it
Like
very
one
long,
thing, and
but
I'll mention this before you go back to Ghostwire, is like they're
hmm
doing Shohei Otani, who is a really magnificent player, pitcher, and really good hitter for the Angels here. It just stinks that I don't want to pay for the hard book cover because he's of like pretty sure he might be Japanese actually, but
hmm
like they're doing like kind of an anime cartoon inspired like steelbook cover that I desperately want for it, but I'm not going to pay the extra money
hmm
for it. So
could always just buy it later, just the
if
steelbook, right?
if they sell it that way, they didn't do that for the Jackie Robinson edition.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I'll definitely give it a shot. I don't have much success with the show games at all. I usually play them for like an hour, but I mean, when it's on Game
Yeah,
Pass, you at least give it a shot. All right. So Ghostwire, I'm almost being done with it. I do think it's a very, very good game. I think it suffers from them wanting to put too much into the game to kind of pad it out. Um, Side missions are fine. I think some of them are pretty entertaining. They vary enough that like you're not doing the same thing over and over again, which I appreciate. It's the other stuff in the world that I feel like is too much, and I usually end up avoiding. I forget what they're called, but there's like things floating in the sky that you can chase in each section of the city, and then you capture them, kind of like a Pokemon. There's just like those things that they kind of spread around the map just to fill it out. That I'm just like, I don't want to do this at all. I have no desire. But the main story is good. The side missions are entertaining, and I think it's a definite. Unless the ending just absolutely sucks, I think this will probably end up somewhere in my top 10 this year,
cool.
as of right now. Um, can't recommend it enough. I don't really think it's a horror game though. I don't know if they're trying to classify it as that. There's some moments that are a little creepy, but overall it's just kind of like a I don't know, it's like first person shooter without
Yeah,
guns, I
now I know we
guess.
talked about it last week. Did you end up changing the
Yeah.
voice acting to English, or have you stayed in the Japanese with subtitles?
Nope. Nope. I just stayed. I didn't feel the need to. It just feels better having them speak Japanese with subtitles. I enjoy it more that way. But yeah, I didn't even
I
bother.
will admit the English voice acting I wasn't really impressed by any means. So
Okay.
when I decide to play Tokyo Ghostwire, I will probably do the same thing with playing it in Japanese
Yeah.
with subtitles.
Yeah. But I would definitely recommend it to everybody out there. It's a good game to have. I know it's on PC as well,
Yes.
right? I
Oh
think I
no,
saw it on
wait, no,
PC,
it's a
not
PlayStation
Xbox though.
exclusive. Yeah.
Is it? Could have sworn I
Oh,
saw it on
you know what?
Steam,
It
but
might be
maybe
on
not.
Steam, but I know it's not on Xbox. That's
Yeah, it's definitely not on
yeah.
Xbox for sure. But yeah, if you have a PlayStation 5, this is a good game to have some fun with. I don't think it's anything that's gonna like jump out as like pushing the boundaries of graphics wise. I did notice one thing, and I saw it on Reddit too, so I can't take credit for it. But the rain in the game is the Japanese symbols for rain
Really?
when they're falling,
You
which I
know,
think was kind of cool. Yeah,
when
it's
my
pretty
roommate
cool.
was playing it, I did see like that the rain wasn't really rain. I thought it was something to do with some.
Yeah, and they do some cool things with like adjusting um where you're going. Like they'll flip stuff so it's like, oh, now it's upside down, or like, you know what I mean. They just kind of mess with you a little bit. I think that's very
Cool. All
cool.
right. I do look forward to playing it once it's finally time for me to. So yeah, too many
Too many
games,
games.
and we're about to get even more this week as well. Because I'm probably gonna have my hands full with Lego Star Wars. If I'm gonna be honest.
Oh yeah.
So for me, like Elden Ring's still Elden Ring. I still play it occasionally. I'm playing it a lot less now. I feel like I'm out of rehab for Elden Ring. I think is what I'll call it. And
Yeah.
then other than that, like playing Kirby's Wonderland, like it is like the perfect like comeback to game. Like every night I just sit in bed and I'll play that for like 45 minutes because the levels are short enough
Okay.
where you can get one or two levels and be like, okay, I'm good, and then not have to do anything with Kirby. So I really enjoy that. I like that game has been that for me, the one that I can just kind of go back to um, at the end of the night. That's fun to play and doesn't really require too much thought, even on the harder difficulty. So uh, I really, for me, I feel like Kirby's going to be my surprise like top 10 this year because I
Okay.
am really enjoying that game, and where I really haven't enjoyed other Kirby games before, this definitely feels like the correct evolution for it and the next step to go.
I am still really excited to play it. But just like with Ghostwire for you, it's kind of been pushed to the side. Until I can get Ghostwire and Tiny Tina and Lego Star Wars all out of the way, then
Yeah.
I'll go back to it. But I definitely do want to play it because I'm hearing nothing but good things.
And then
Um, did you play? Did you play Apex yesterday
no,
at
I
all?
didn't. I have played with the update since, but I did. But what was the
Okay.
April Fool's thing?
So they didn't really do a that good of a job of like explaining what it was, but I there was like little eggs all around the map, and whenever you would break one, you would get a Mozambique. Uh, but the Mozambique had two shots, and instead of normal shotgun bullets, it was shooting out Nessies.
Oh damn! I'm gonna really
And
hate
those
the fact that I
Nessies,
missed this.
yep, yep, and they were like big
Okay.
Nessies, right? And you would shoot them, and they had health bars, and then they would go after enemies for you. And they were basically like they played
Yeah.
like the spiders, right? They could shoot the spider webs, and then they would also just jump at them. But they also changed on well, I forget what that map is. The newest map. I forget what the name
Storm.
is.
Yeah, Storm
Storm
Point. You got
Point.
it.
Okay. They replaced where the I don't even know what they're called. I'm blanking on everything, but like the big like wolves or whatever that would
Yeah.
come out of the ground and attack you. They were just the
Oh.
big Nessies yesterday. So I mean that was kind of cool. I thought it was interesting. I think the past years have been better. Last year it was something with like the pistols, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, there was also like the one with like the dolls where you were just playing as the training dummy
Yeah.
instead,
Yep.
in
Yep.
which I did like that one as well. The training dummies.
Yeah. I mean it was fun. I just feel like they definitely didn't put as much thought into it this year as they normally do. And maybe that's because they're working on other things and they kind of threw it together. But I did notice that yesterday the servers were struggling, and I'm gonna assume it was because of all the Nessies running
Yeah.
around on the map. I'm sure it put a strain on it. But yeah, it was entertaining to kind of mess
I'll have to
around
look
with
at some
yesterday.
gameplay for it. That definitely looks interesting. I'm kind of upset I didn't play yesterday, but
Yeah, you would have enjoyed it.
I will explain why I didn't play in the TV shows I've watched for the week. So
Okay. And then last thing we had to talk
yeah.
about Fortnite. We gotta. So I in my career Fortnite have played maybe 2 or 3 games total since it came out. Never won any, but I remember I played like 2 or 3 when it first came out, and I was like, nah, this ain't it. I think we're both kind of that way. However, they announced that there was the no build mode
Hmm.
coming out. And I was like, you know what? That might be the perfect time because I hated the building aspect of it. So I jumped in. I played 2 nights in a row, a couple hours each night, got some wins. And I know they're not keeping this mode, but if they did, or if they decide to, I might actually be tempted to play this
Okay.
more often because playing without build mode is a lot of fun. Then it's just, I don't have to worry about the 12-year-olds who can build entire houses in 30 seconds. We can just focus on the gameplay, like the
Yeah.
mechanics. And I think they're actually pretty good. Um, so yeah, I mean, as long as they keep that, I'll be interested. I left it installed for now. Um, I don't know if maybe it's because I was also like level 1 and they're putting me in with the bot
Yeah.
lobbies probably. But man, I can see why people like it now that I've played that. But yeah, I have no desire to learn the
Now
building at all.
now with building, the whole point of it was like destroying like stuff
Yep.
so that you can get the materials to build.
Mhm.
In permanent mode or in
Yep.
no build mode, are the like the trees and stuff like you can't tear them down, or can you still shoot them down?
No, you can
Okay.
still tear them down. You can still like if you somebody's hiding behind one, you can
Okay.
still shoot it to get rid of it. You can still take apart the houses to find like the chest hidden under the ground. That's all there. It's just there's no
Okay. Cool.
building aspect.
I I would love to see how many people, because I remember like my times in Fortnite where you would like go down to the
Hmm.
basement, you would accidentally cut something out you didn't mean to, so you could at least get the treasure and then build a
Yeah.
stairway out. But I wonder how many people now get stuck and you can't build the stairway out
Yeah.
anymore. So that's
Yeah.
eh, that's fun, and I'm glad for them because they should have been doing this I think a long time ago. But uh,
Yeah.
I feel like, and especially it's been with Apex too, because I haven't actually played Apex in a while. Um, it's just the fact
Hmm.
that people who are playing Fortnite are probably starting to get burned out of it, that kind of thing. So
Yep.
adding something this drastic and new brings a bunch of new players in and allows the people who have been playing the game for a while to like have more different like players to play with, that kind of thing. So
Yeah, I feel like this is them testing the waters to be like, is there
yeah.
interest for this? You know, because I feel like your hardcore Fortnite players are not going to want to
Mhm.
play this, right?
Yeah, no, yeah.
They're going to want to, yeah, because they're so good at building. They're like, why would I want to give that up? But yeah, I mean, I could see them putting it as a permanent mode if we'd have to see the numbers. I'm assuming a decent amount of
People were
people
playing
played
it
it.
on Twitch more this week than ever. So me personally, add it. It doesn't hurt them to add this mode, especially considering that
Right.
building something like that was always a part of the game that like is going to completely turn people off. Like getting to destroy trees and
Hmm.
stuff, like that's good because that's not something really in Apex. You can
Yep.
hide behind a tree all day and it's not going to matter. Where or
Yep.
somebody hides inside a house and you don't, you can't, if you can't get rid of that camper there, you're not getting rid of them. At least in Fortnite there were ways to kind of, okay, I'm going to throw a grenade, blow out the wall and then find him and shoot him. Like there was always that aspect of, okay, like campers can get punished for putting themselves into
Yeah.
corners, unlike with Apex where it seems more along the lines of that they get more good stuff because of they get more good stuff because of it. So
And I will say too, if they do make that permanent and it's a mode that like I can go back to, just being in the pregame lobbies, that game could be dangerous for me because there's a lot of stuff that people had, like the emotes and dances and skins, and I'm like, oh man, I want that. Like it could be a dangerous slippery slope for
yeah.
me to go down to with Fortnite, but like they've always been good about adding cool skins and
Yeah.
characters and like all that.
Yeah, the fact that you can play as Naruto and Sasuke, and there's like the seventh form of Zendaya in
Yep.
that game mode now. I know the Euphoria one just got
Hmm.
added too. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
they've always had the marketing presence to be like, okay, let's, you don't get to play as Spider-Man or Venom in Apex. You just play as the heroes you get to play as.
Right.
So, and for certain people there's enough of a connection with that hero or something that they get to buy it, and then they play for a little bit because they bought the skin, so they might as well play it. So it,
Yeah.
good on them
True.
for like having, like, I've never hated Fortnite. I've always just kind of respected what they've done. Like I'll admit I hated the building
Agreed.
because that was something I was never good at, but the whole marketing, like their marketing team is just insane. Like they they make a lot of money just because get the because they're kind of the kid friendly brand, and
Hmm.
they can get really, Disney characters and famous actors and, trademark dance moves, Charles Carlton Wise trying to sue. I wonder how that went. I imagine it didn't go through for him. Yeah, he
I
probably
think he
lost.
lost. Yeah.
But
But
yeah,
that's it. That's all
so
I played.
movies and TV shows this week. So what's fun for me
Sure.
is first episode of Moon Knight came out, which you probably watched as well.
Yep.
Winning
Yep.
Time, still good. Just gonna, I probably
Yep.
won't even talk about Winning Time this episode, but for me,
That's fair.
I binged watched an anime called Ranking of Kings, which I really enjoyed. And I've also today and yesterday been binge watching Raised by Wolves, the HBO Max original.
So you
I
like it.
do.
Okay.
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, we don't need to talk about Winning Time. I did watch that as well. I watched a movie called Moonfall, not to be confused with Moon Knight, And I forgot to talk about it last week. So the first 2 episodes of the Halo TV
Oh,
show,
you
I
know what? And
watched
I
that as
watched Death
well.
of the Nile. That's right. I did watch Death of the Nile. That's on HBO Max as well.
I started watching that
So
and I
we'll
got
talk
bored.
about Death of the Nile here first because it is kind of
Yep.
the I always like I always like this mystery murder type stuff, but I could
Mhm.
this one was and maybe it's because I'm getting good at it now, but I was like, okay, this is who it is. Like this is who killed him. This is how it happened, and I got it all right. So I was kind of surprised, but I have never so many times in my life not been able to pronounce the main character's name wrong. I don't know still how
Yeah.
to pronounce it. Is it Poirot, Poiwa,
I
Poiwo?
don't know.
Like it is a
Boy, whoa.
very weird like English like a English name and everybody pronounces it differently, so I don't even know how to pronounce it. Um I
Did
thought
you
it was
like
all
it though?
right. Like for me
I
it's
was
the
bored.
weakest of all of the mystery movies
Hmm.
that I've ever seen. And like they played up Gal Gadot being in it, you know, and she is in there.
Hmm.
Jon Snow's wife is in there. I really need to start learning that actress's name. I feel like I'm doing her a disservice, in a way. And Russell Brand. Is that who it is? Yeah, that
Yeah.
is. Yeah, Russell Brand is in
Yep.
there. So
Yeah. He looks
yeah,
completely different.
the movie is boring. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I I don't know. Like the fact that I could guess who the killer was here was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, now I'm right. Now I that's all I got. Like that was the only validation I got out of it.
Yep.
Movie's so slow in the beginning, so slow. You s-
Awful.
you spent
Yeah.
so much time in this movie, like try just waiting for them to actually get to like the murder mystery portion of things. So they're trying to set up all these characters and trying to set up all this different stuff, and then it ends up only paying off in like a 5 minute monologue where it's like, okay, on to the next person now. It it was not the strongest of all of them. Like
Yeah.
it's the worst. It's the worst of the murder mystery stuff, and I feel bad because I know I like Gal Gadot as an actress, but it's always the famous people, like the Omega superstars in the film, end up getting killed because that's the whole point. Is that okay? Here's the big name
Hmm.
draw, and then here are a bunch of other actors that you know now have to play the murder mystery portion of things. So yeah, skip it. I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I'm glad I didn't watch it in a movie theater.
Me too. I just couldn't, like, I got like halfway through and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so bored. I don't even care.
Understandably,
um, do you want to
yeah,
talk about Moon Knight? Okay.
I
What'd you
liked
think?
it. There's
Hmm.
still so much I don't know what's going on. Like, and
Yep.
that's always the tough part is because like this show is a 6 episode series. It needs to move fast. So this show moves
Yep.
fast. Um, and I'll admit like the fast pacing and frantic pacing of it all does make sense here because Oscar
Hmm.
Isaac's character, um, Steven is
Steven?
continuously blacking out and ending up in other
Yep.
places. I do wish and I do hope that in the next like episode we finally get maybe some sort of answers to why what's happening is happening. Just because for me, like, you know, the payoff was finally seeing, you know, Moon Knight's transformation. And yes, it looks spectacular, but
Yep.
part of me is just like, okay, but like what the heck is going on? Like I'll admit the villain is
Yeah.
very interesting. At least he seems to be the villain,
Hmm.
and most Marvel movies like don't have like an interesting villain. It's more like I'm the bad guy because I'm the bad guy, and I'm
Right.
hoping they grow him and make him more interesting for the finale. But I need to know what else is going on, like in this show,
Yeah.
like because of its frantic style. I find myself feeling more confused than anything else.
Yeah, and I think they're gonna get there. I mean, obviously, the people who know Moon Knight, like the ins and outs of it, which I do not, are probably like, "Oh yeah, this all makes sense." But like, Marvel does a good job of explaining things, so I think they want you to be confused in this first episode and be like, "Hold on, what is going on here?" there's so much. You have this villain, maybe not villain, who's judging people by holding their hands and putting like a thing on their arms, and then if their judge is potentially being evil, then they just die. But yeah, I think it's very entertaining. It looks like a Marvel movie you would see
Yeah.
in theaters. Like the CGI is phenomenal. I think the suit, the Moon Knight suit, looks great. Um, yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. I'm just as confused as you are on this whole thing. I know, like my limited knowledge is I know there's Steven and there's a Mark, which I think is Moon Knight, I guess. But that's about all I know. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. But yeah, 6 episodes, they're gonna have to move along quick
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
just hope that I want this one to be one of my favorite ones for like the Marvel Disney Plus universe, just because I also feel like Moon Knight could
Yep.
have a big like, and I don't know if he does interact with any of the other superheroes in the comics at all, but if he does, this like he has the potential to really like shine as of
Yeah.
as more of like of this Moon Knight character, because I've heard what happens in the comics for him, and it always seems like this character has the most personality, maybe to them. That
Yeah.
because in the Marvel movies, yes, we get injected like with like Iron Man personality type things, and you make sure that his personality shines more. Where it seems like Moon Knight's hero persona is a lot more like charismatic and fun having than any of the other justice is
Yeah.
good. Let's do this, guys, kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
I want it to be good because I also want to see like other things happen because of it. I also want to see what we can do with other heroes.
Yeah, and I would hope he would show up in a movie
Yeah.
or two, you know? I think that's probably the plan. I think they have more plans for like Daredevil now. But yeah, he's so far so good. Oscar Isaac's a great actor, and I think he's playing this extremely well.
And then Moonfall.
Moonfall. Moonfall is a disaster movie that came out in theaters a couple months ago. I don't think anybody went and saw it though. I think it made about $5. Um, uh, I enjoy disaster movies, San Andreas, Armageddon, like the cheesier the better. This is one of those. The moon is out of orbit and it's causing crazy things to happen on Earth, uh, as in like rising tides, lower gravity on Earth, no oxygen, all that stuff. So they have to go to the moon and figure out what's going on. And they figure out that the moon is actually not a planet, but is a structure that was built by aliens. So there's that going on. There's some rogue AI involved that's making the moon structure go off orbit. Um, all that being said, this movie is god awful. If you couldn't catch on from me trying
Yeah.
to describe it, the disaster sequences look cool. I'll give them that. But yeah, the story is makes no sense. It just kind of goes places, and yeah, it's not good. So don't
All
waste your
right.
time.
Was that one on HBO Max? Was that one of the ones
No, I rented it, so I think it
okay.
should be on
So yeah,
something fairly
I don't know.
shortly.
There's some other thing that was just released on HBO Max, but it's a rom com, not a disaster movie.
Yeah,
Yes, that's
Moonshot
it. Moonshot. That's
something.
okay. Just
Yeah.
making sure they weren't
Mm,
the same
yep.
thing. There's too many moon things now.
Nope.
Um,
Yeah,
I'll
there
talk
is.
about Barry's Anime Corner here with Ranking of Kings. I
Yes.
really liked it. Synopsis of the story really is um, two princes. One is deaf, and the other one, of course, is a lot more capable and a lot more full of himself. What I like about the show is that it's not like in typical anime fashion, you would assume that he starts to speak from some miracle of God or starts hearing because of that. No. He has his disability and everybody treats him differently because of it because it takes place during medieval times, like knights, monsters,
Okay.
that kind of thing. So people talk to him in sign language. And like they characterize it and subtitle it. I just really like the whole underdog story of the main character's name Bochi of and his whole story. You know, he just is full of kindness and everybody at every corner tells him like, "Hey, you know, this is not befitting of a king. This is not what you do." But he doesn't care despite the fact that he can lip read, which people find out later. So not only like not only do people start to feel bad because they've been talking bad about him, not thinking they can hear him, but he can lip read, so he figures it out. And his amazing like agility and combat prowess just goes like it's like really fun and heartwarming. Like there are a lot more to each of the characters than what people expect, and I liked diving into those characters. Like there's this Queen Hilling who looks to be a total she seems to be like a really bad person, and then turns out that there's more to her on the surface of that. So you learn more about her and get to grow and like her. Like this anime does a really good job of like even the villain has kind of a sadder backstory as to why they're doing their villainy things. And I won't spoil the ending, but I really liked it. There's a lot of good character development. I just like how different it was to everything else that to most anime that I've watched. I like the whole sign language, like, and the fact that it's like a king with a disability, and not so much them just like the answer isn't just him magically getting his hearing back or something like that. That's what I liked. I like the fact that he kept it, and he doesn't say a word. He just I don't know what the specific term is for it, but he like talks, but it just comes out as noise.
Okay. Interesting. That's like a take I don't think I've seen before in an anime though.
Yeah, no, no, if that's what I mean. Like it's different enough, and it felt fresh
Yeah.
enough for me. And there's a bunch of like
Okay.
twists and turns, that kind of thing for it. But yeah, like that. I think that's why I enjoyed it so much because it felt different. Felt different from everything else that I've watched.
Okay.
So that's why I liked it.
Interesting. Um Halo.
I don't
You
have
didn't watch
Paramount
Halo,
Plus
right?
yet.
Okay. So I know the first episode they put on YouTube for free. So you can watch it there. Second episode came out this week. I just forgot to talk about it last week. So the first episode, you could tell they put a lot of effort into being like, hey, look at this from the game. Look at this
Yeah,
from the game, right? Uh like there's a big fight scene that's pretty much the main point of the first episode. We get to see like the Covenant, right, with their swords and their guns that you all recognize from the Halo games. You get the moment where Master Chief comes in and just decimates them. He's using the battle rifle, his pistol. At one point, he picks up like the big gun,
yeah,
like you would in the game, and starts mowing them down. I will say that when you compare it to other TV shows that are out there right now, like Marvel, for instance, you can tell the budget is not
yeah,
as big on this. The Covenant looks okay, but they don't look like they're in the same world. They didn't do as good of a job
yeah.
on the CGI, so they don't mix very well. This show is extremely bloody, extremely, which is weird. I didn't quite expect that. The Halo games are kind of bloody, but they're not
Yo,
like over
yeah.
the
Like
top.
it's not. Yeah,
Uh,
they're very tame.
yeah,
Very.
right, right. This is like, I mean, that first episode, second one, not so much because we're getting to the story, so there's not as much like fighting. I don't think there's actually any in the second episode, but yeah, like I would say kind of like Game of Thrones bloody in the first
Okay.
episode is what we're getting at. Um, it's okay. The fact that they have Master Chief have his helmet off for as much as they do in this show is very weird to me for somebody who really never takes it off, right? And I get that they're trying to like you want to connect with this character, but I don't think you need to do that. I think it's just fine having him talk with his helmet on. I mean, he's not supposed to show that much emotion anyway. We're getting hints towards Cortana that I'm sure will show up at some point. All the main characters you know from the games are here. Like you'll recognize a lot of them. I just I don't know how I feel about it yet. I'm definitely gonna watch the whole season and see how it goes. I'm not like blown away with it, but it's
That's
entertaining, I
literally what
guess.
everybody I've like been saying to me is like they just don't know how
Yeah.
to feel about it. Like they're mixed. Like they expected it
Yeah.
to be what it
Yep.
is. But they are
Mhm.
kind of like disappointed with the fact that it's just what they expected. Uh
Yeah, this for all intents and purposes, this is like any other sci-fi show you would see on the Sci-Fi Channel, except it's Master Chief as the main character. Like it's the same budget, the same like people you would see on sci-fi shows like Firefly and all that. Like and Battlestar Galactica, like some of them are in this. So it's like they just grabbed the same people and were like, "Oh, you do sci-fi shows, come on in." But I'm gonna let it play its course, and then we'll see how it goes at the end of the
Cool.
season.
I do plan on watching that as well. So then for me, the HBO
Cool.
Max Raised by Wolves, which has been really tempting me for a while, and I finally got into it. It
Yeah.
is extremely interesting. I have been enjoying the heck out of it. It's just about and in the first few episodes you find out like humanity, and it's more about like religion, where
Hmm.
atheists have been fighting they're called the Church of Soul, which is they kind of just making it sound like believing in God. And the reason for Earth's
Yep.
downfall is the fact that like these two religions are fighting each other. So an atheist makes a desperate attempt to send some people off to another world to restart humanity. The soul people are also trying to do that because it's like a total, crapshoot now, and you kind of get to follow them. Um, like pretty much what it is just mother and father taking care of like kids and trying to like restart this colony life and the troubles of that. So I kind of like the whole resetting to age zero thing. Uh, in the
Hmm.
first like you'll know if you're hooked by the first episode. That's what I will say is
Yep.
the first episode is worth a watch, and the ending is like, oh wow, okay, like you'll be into it. I think once you watch the first episode, because I'm trying not to spoil too much. One thing I will say is I picked this series because I like the actor Travis Fimmel, who played the leader of Ragnar in Vikings and also was in Pacific Rim. So
Hmm.
I like it. So I started watching this because of him, and he's been like an integral part to the story. I just hate that it seems like he's going down the same path that they did with Ragnar's character in Vikings, um, which is kind of like this whole crazy prophet type of thing. Uh, I was hoping it wasn't going to be like that in this one, but it does look like that's what it is. But that's kind of all I want to say because I still have two more episodes left in this season
Okay.
before being done with season one. But the fact I'm binging it the way I am, I think kind of goes to show like this show's worth your time. Um, it's got a lot of like the Game of Thrones type like political vibes to it because you're messing with not houses but religions here. Um, and not only religions, but the fights between android and human as well. So there's kind of all of these like socio-political type things going on, and nurture versus nature, and that kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of basic like human understandings that they kind of question in the show, and I really like that. I really like how they're taking it. So like over and it's directed by Ridley Scott, which I didn't know. Like this like it
Hmm.
has a big budget director and it's got like big budget scenes for it as well.
Yeah.
So I don't the reason it took me so long is because it was labeled as horror. Definitely not a horror show. If I can watch it, anybody can watch it. I truly do believe that. But give it a shot. I think it's worth people's times. Here it is HBO hasn't had really the whole big Game of Thrones thing, but I have to give it to them. They are putting out some really good drama of TV with
Hmm.
Winning Time and with Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, it was funny because like I watched the first episode of Raised by Wolves and I went, nah.
Really?
I was bored.
Okay.
Yeah, bored out of my mind. So I think it is kind of an extreme, right? I think you're either gonna love it or you're gonna not hate it, but be like,
I
No."
I could see where it's
Um,
boring though.
but
Like I'll admit, like
yeah,
I was mostly like, "Hey, where is this going? It doesn't look that good." But then
yeah.
the ending for me and like the reveal of like what Mother is, um, I thought was
Mhm.
enough to keep me like, "Yeah, let's keep going." And the more I kept going, the more I started
Yeah.
growing attached to the characters and what they're doing.
Yeah. I think it's filmed incredibly well. I think it looks cool. I just like it just did not hit with me for whatever reason. But I think the majority of people do actually really enjoy this show. So don't take like my word for it that I didn't connect with me because I'm definitely the minority on this show.
But yeah, there's nothing else that you watched, right? We're good. All right.
Nope.
That's
Nope.
going to
We're
be it for
good.
this week's podcast. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys feel so inclined, please share it with your friends and also review it on your listening platform of choice. If you're interested in getting in contact with us or getting a question read, we do have Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, and we also have an email at highsensitivitypodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's it. I've done I've done the
Think
outro so many
so.
times you'd think I'd have it memorized by now. But thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you later.